Hello, Craig.
What's up?
Nice to see you.
Nice to be seen.
Glad to be here.
Okay, we'll call to order the regular city council meeting for Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. No, Pastor Steve. Bob James, would you lead us in prayer?
That's right. Dear Lord, we come to you again tonight, Lord, asking you to give us wisdom and courage to make decisions we need to make. And Lord, just be with us in the city. May we make the best decisions for the city. And Lord, again, we just thank you for the privilege of living in this town. And Lord, we just ask that you continue to rain down blessings upon each and every person here and those that aren't. And Lord, just help us in Jesus' name.
If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Page, roll call.
Rothschild.
Here.
Kennett. Swanson.
Here.
Barnhart. Roothouse. James.
Here.
Samowski. Here. Arnold.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next on the agenda would be the recognition of service for Councilman James Roothouse. It's with sadness that we're going to say goodbye tonight. And I'd got a couple of words here I'd like to read. Tonight, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to Alderman James Roothouse as he concludes his service on the city council. Over the 8 years and 4 terms, James has been a consistent voice for our residents, bringing the same precision and dedication to the council chambers that he brings to his daily work as the IT director for the Geneseo School District. While he is concluding his service on the city council, we are fortunate that his expertise and commitment to the community and Geneseo's future will continue to benefit our students and educators every day. James, thank you for nearly a decade of dedicated municipal leadership. And on behalf of the city, plaque I'd like to see.
Chief, you want to take a picture? You want us to come up or?
Yeah, come on up.
If you'd stayed one more year, you could have got the gold watch. No, I get it. Not the budget.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Does he get his name flag?
Oh, his name flag.
Ah,
I got the old one.
Yeah.
We'll call you in a few years. You can order the other one. Okay, next on the agenda, item number 5 would be the swearing in of re-elected mayor and council members.
All right, we can do it. I have faith in you.
Where's the rest of them?
I have faith in you. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna read the line and then.
Oh,
Are
sorry.
you doing just him or are you doing?
Both of you.
Okay.
Okay. I, state your name, have been elected in the city of Geneseo in the county of Henry aforesaid.
I, Craig Arnold, have been elected as alderman in the city of Geneseo in the county of Henry aforesaid.
I, Sean Johnson, having been elected as mayor in the city of Geneseo in the county of Henry aforesaid.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois.
Do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois.
The charters, laws, and ordinances of the city of Geneseo,
Charters, laws, and ordinances of the city of Geneseo,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my position to the best of my ability.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my position to the best of my ability.
Perfect. Thank you.
there'll be a quiz on the charter in a minute, so I hope you studied. There'll be a quiz on the charter.
Bring it on. I'm game. What's a charter?
Here's the Doug Crowley ears.
Okay, next on the agenda, item number 6 would be the Chamber of Commerce report. Good evening.
Mayor, council, I am very pleased to, oh, good. Oh, Jenna, I'm Jenna Rushing. Jenna Rushing, current president of the chamber. First,
We did.
proud to introduce our new executive director of the chamber, Lindsay Akers. Hello. She just started last week, May 4th. She's very modest, so I'm gonna do a quick introduction. Lindsay comes from an extensive education in marketing and event management, including an MBA from Florida Atlantic University. Her most recent employment consisted of a membership-based organization. She was responsible for consistent communication with those members and also event management. All these qualifications perfectly align with the Geneseo Chamber of Commerce. So she is already showing her skill set with a revised website, just some edits to a website. So hopefully that will go live pretty quickly. Other than that, she's just getting her feet wet, becoming familiar with our events and the members. So anything to add?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's thorough. I'm excited to be here. It's nice to meet all of you guys.
Yeah. Outside of her professional career, she has a young family. She grew up in Florida, moved back, is married to a Geneseo native, lives here locally, has 2 young boys, and she can be found at just about any local event in the surrounding area. So I was just going to give a quick, I don't know that you were quite ready to give an update on Art Walk and Wine Walk, so I'll go ahead and do that. Art Walk was a great success this year. I think there's 2 reasons for that. First being the weather, of course, that always helps, and the second was the addition of the farmers market. So if you attended, you saw the farmers market downtown. Jill and the vendors were fantastic to work with. Wine Walk. I don't know if you've all seen, there's been 405 tickets sold.
Wow.
We are so excited for this event, just simply because it's showing there's 28 businesses working together to make this, in the city, to make this event go, and ultimately driving commerce downtown. So I think this just showcases the chamber's focus going forward. Just kind of our first event to outline that. Huge shout out to the city and Paige specifically for working with us to make sure we follow the state regulations, the city code, all of that. So thank you, Paige, for being patient with us. Any questions? Wine Walk tickets are closed, so if you did not get it, you'll have to put it on the agenda or the calendar for next year.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Welcome to the community.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, item number 7 would be the city engineering report. Lauren.
What's up, Laura?
Not much, Greg. How you doing? Welcome. And I guess I'm going to give the engineering report for this last month. The North State Street construction. The sanitary sewer main and all the laterals are connected and installed, and by Lodge subcontractor Randy McClintock and his crew. So they are completely done and out of here. And then Lod has started installing the water main. Their first part of water main was to make the tie-ins up at Ogden. So they've got that done. And then that's been poured back. So Ogden is back open to all the school traffic. And then they went ahead and started back down at Wells and started laying back to the north. Game plan was to install about half of that water main, cap it at that point, put a hydrant, do flushing, and do all the testing, and then start hooking up the services. So that way, then after they get that done, they can do the storm sewer in that block, along with extending the water main to the north. So they've got a pretty aggressive schedule. So far, they're kind of on about task. So fingers crossed that they keep it up and they can get done here by August like they say they can. The Geneseo Well 33, we've been helping the city with the IEPA getting that operations permit so we can turn that well on, start helping feed the system. We're going to be starting to get into the months where we really need that extra water. So hopefully IEPA will start cooperating and not finding every little I that needs dotted and T that needs crossed in their book. So we're trying to help the city get that across the finish line. On to designs and reports that we've been working with you guys on. The PED Bridge, we've been trying to tweak and adjust that bridge structure and where the bridge goes and how all the water flows around it to gain that zero rise that they're suggesting. We think we finally got a model that will work. We're going to get that submitted tomorrow after I met with the mayor and Brandon here just a little bit ago. So we're going to get that submitted. There has been a little bit of an increase in cost. So I think Brandon's going to talk about that here a little bit later because of the changes that we had to make to get the design to pass the hydraulic modeling because Geneseo Creek floods so much and we had to pick up the bridge so high to get it out of the water. So the flood water. I guess on to the Geneseo water system and talking about the deep/medium depth well out there at Richmond Hill. The water samples came back and they were actually very favorable. So very little treatment on that. Just need some aeration and some chemical chlorine injection in that just to keep bacteria from growing in it when it's sitting in your tanks. So that's very good news. No expensive $5 treatment processes. So we're going to go ahead and get a report finished up and have another meeting with the city, discuss, I guess, finalizing our preliminary engineering report that we have to submit to IEPA on that here a little bit later. The Chicago Street sidewalk project, we opened bids last week and we made a recommendation that will be discussed here a little bit later. It was higher than our original very preliminary estimates because we had to rework some of the intersections because we were that far out of compliance over 6 feet. So then ADA, of course, says, well, you got to tear out the street and fix the street to make that in the compliance. So that's why we didn't originally have it. It looked like it was pretty flat to us when we did the original preliminary cost estimate. But after we had it surveyed, we found that it was out of compliance, so we have to bring it into compliance. The Ford Road sanitary sewer, we've been continually working on the lift station and the sewer design out that way. We've got some preliminary drawings, and we're going to need a easement from Nicor on that corner to be able to put the lift station in that corner because of existing utilities in the right of way, and this is a very deep structure that has to be put in. And then we're going to get finalized drawings so we can get that submitted in the IEPA here, hopefully by the end of the month. So that way we can get things continually moving forward. I'd like to have this thing operational by the end of the year. So it's a big push. Long lead times. Need. Yeah. Okay. So we need to get it operational by the end of the year. So we're pushing hard to get that done. So do I have any questions?
Lauren, I just got one thing I want to try to figure out. When we did the cost analysis on the sidewalks for Chicago, ADA stuff should have been put in there. Why was it omitted?
Well, the ADA was put in there, but it was just the ramps coming down to tie into the street and tearing out the curb and putting back the curb. The street itself looked like it was in compliance because it was, a 2.3% cross slope. When we had it surveyed, that's when we saw that it was literally, a quarter or half inch out of compliance. And
We
at
missed
that,
it by this much, literally, Martin, to the point that at first glance, anybody that visually that looks at it would have had the assumption or the belief that it would pass. Then when it come to final surveying and final elevation and things of that nature, that's when it discovered that we don't have the proper
cross slope.
slope.
That's just a lot of extra money. And I would have thought that we would have known that before we came in with our first initial estimate, but
Well, I mean, I guess on that, you just kind of do a preliminary takeoff on, you need to put a sidewalk in from point A to point B, and we can just do the tie-ins. And by looking at it, the streets don't need it. And as I've discussed with the mayor and Brandon, I'm going to go ahead and start putting a contingency item in there of like 20% on all these projects. So that way, in case we run into an issue like this, then we can have extra buffer and wiggle room on these things. Because, you know, like when I do a preliminary takeoff, I'm just looking from street to street, putting in that sidewalk or that road and looking at general things and the big ticket items. And, you know, it's not final design. It's preliminary, just looking at it, thinking like, I think this is what we need. It's kind of a guess at that point, but it's trying to get a budget installed so that way we can start this process and move forward with it. We did have extra design that we did that we're not asking for any extra compensation on that. So we're trying to work with the city to try to make it right. So
And I do agree. I understand because my first reaction was similar too. But when you step back and actually think about it a little bit, I mean, unless we're going to ask them to come out and pay for the service of an entire site survey, elevations of things of that nature, unfortunately, things that are that close that you can't readily recognize by the naked eye per se, sometimes these things are going to happen.
But I assume you do the survey. Is it just an eyeball thing?
Not until final design.
not until final design.
Not until
So that
final
was the
design.
preliminary numbers I used for estimate. I kind of looked at the site and I looked and I said, well, that looks pretty flat to me, you know, and to know that it was off literally by a half inch out of compliance. I mean, across 6 feet. I mean, that's what caused that street to have to be torn out and replaced. And
But wouldn't final design find that before? I mean, I see eyeball,
Well-
you just eyeballed it.
well,
But don't they
final
have tools
design,
or something to?
final design, we had it in our engineer's estimate or final engineering estimate that needed to be done. So our engineer's estimate, the final one, was within reason. It was the preliminary one that we had back, what was it, last November, October or something, that when we were just trying to get budgetary numbers installed for this project. Those were the numbers that got inflated. was
I'm
from
just
the
a little
preliminary.
uneasy about putting a slush fund into an appraisal for whatever reason comes up.
Correct. I understand. And then the opposite is, and then we have to be prepared when these things happen, that sometimes there may be, you know, as you do final design of something may be discovered that could increase the cost at that point. So it can go either way.
I understand, but don't you guys have something that you can tell if it's a half inch over 6 feet, or is it just an eyeball thing? Or, I mean, I don't know how these things
Not
are done.
unless, like Sean said, if we do a full survey before we put together any preliminary numbers, then you're having to basically pay for a survey before you even put preliminary numbers together. So, I mean, it's
Lauren, I don't understand though how you can do how you can do final numbers without a survey.
those
Isn't it-
those numbers I given the city way back when was preliminary numbers.
Yeah.
Those were just those were preliminary numbers for an estimate. The final numbers were part of I mean, if you look at your bid tabs, we have our engineering number there, and our engineering number was within reason of what the contractors bid.
So
It was the original number from way back when that there was such a cost increase.
unfortunately, with the preliminary, you know, we have to set a budget. And so
Right.
that's what we base the budget on. So, I mean, back to the point of, yeah, if you build a contingency in, then, you know, we're more likely to stay on budget. Or the way Craig, you know, put it, you're building in a slush fund that you may not use, right?
Yeah, but who makes that decision? Does the contractor come back and say, well, let's add another?
No, not at that point. I mean, it would all be design related and execution.
But I thought this
administrative
was
construction.
design related, like Martin said.
Invasion of the contingency requires your approval.
Right.
I mean, this is just like I'll go back. My comment is the bridge. How much did we raise the thing? And why weren't we out of the floodplain to begin with when you did the original design?
Because all the other ped bridges in the city that are in the floodplain, the
Yeah.
one just 200 yards down the road is same elevation as State Street Bridge.
That's
But
what
don't
should-
you do okay, but my question is, don't you do a study or something that says, hey, the floodplain has changed? I mean, how
No, the
long
floodplain
ago was that
hasn't
bridge
changed.
built?
But that's the thing. Nothing. Well, I don't know.
It's the
exactly
requirements have
how-
changed by the DNR. And
That's
that's-
the crazy part of this entire situation we're in with the pedestrian bridge, because what we're trying to meet at the state level, there's 2 obstructions downstream, but it doesn't change the fact of what we have to meet now. I mean, I understand how you feel, but then I realize where Lauren's coming from too. Their original design was very emblematic of something that we just put in just downstream not all that long ago. So,
But is that what we're basing the floodplain on? Because the other one's at that height, or is that because the requirements have changed, do we not adjust it to the new requirements through the DNR?
Well, it depends. This goes back to how the DNR reviewer interprets what's submitted and what the new regulations are. So everyone reads those differently. So in the past, we've always just, they put additional requirements, like we couldn't grade underneath the bridge and take out, because typically we used to dig out underneath the bridge and just put riprap in there. And then we got to count that flow area. Well, DNR says, well, that's going to silt in, so we won't allow you to excavate basically almost anything under the bridge. And then, oh, by the way, that handrail, we're going to assume that handrail is operating 100% clogged, which it's a handrail. It's got, it's only got rails on it that are X wide. They're not 100%. So in the past, we've been allowed to have water flow through the handrails, but he says, no, you have to act like that's a sheet of plywood and it doesn't allow any water to flow through it. So that's 100% obstruction. So that's his interpretation of how the DNR rules are. So because he's our reviewer, that's how we have to proceed with the design.
it's just so subjective of what this one individual is interpreting. What the benchmark per se is that we have to meet under the different criteria.
Is the guy who's making this decision, is he actually working for the state of Illinois
Yeah.
or is he subcontracted?
He is
to do this?
actually an IDNR
Yeah,
employee.
Yeah.
So how far did you raise the bridge, if I may ask, on the new design?
Almost 6 feet.
And wasn't it just an inch or something before? Wasn't it just an inch? Couldn't we just put it up 6 feet beforehand?
Then that drives the cost up.
Yeah.
and
I understand that,
adding-
but we're setting a precedent of, well, we're gonna try to make the minimum to make it work under the assumption that we're gonna talk to some other DNR guy that could say this or say that. Just put in that fluff now so that we know what we're dealing with, so it goes right through.
It's hard to budget for this when things change.
Right.
Okay, we're not engineers. We don't understand all that. All we know is that we're looking at a project and we're looking at a proposed budget or something close to it. And then we're nowhere near it. And that's why I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense to me. How can it not be that close? I can understand materials rising. I can understand certain things, but it's like the ADA part for the sidewalk. Well, that's routine.
But
That
it's
is a
not the-
routine cost, should be built in already. So I don't know. I mean, it's just like I say, it's just really hard on our side when we're not out here working with it every day and we don't see what's going on. Yet we're making decisions upon a budget. And we really don't like to go over that budget because we feel like we're not doing our just due for the citizens.
Well,
And it's hard to get that, feeling when we're looking like, it should be like this, but it's more like this. And I'm just like.
That's
I
where the
don't know.
contingency tool will help, because it does that. So the question is always, when do you perfect the information? So for budget purposes, this project was well out. He gave you a preliminary number, right? If you had the contingency for unknowns, and frankly, anything you're doing in the earth should have an unknown contingency. That's pretty standard. But you don't want to over design, right? You could design every parking lot for every store for the day after Thanksgiving, right? To park everybody that needs to park there that one day of the year, but that's not what you designed to. So in the municipal world, you try to design to the minimum you need to fulfill the needs of that you're trying to solve. Well, then you get additional information, whether it's unknown conditions, soil conditions, or in this case, the final survey where when you finally pay for the people to go out there with laser levels to determine whether the slope is the correct percentage or not. And there are people in the ADA community who have laser levels who will check. I've had entire fire stations ripped up for this reason because everybody tried to get away with it and they didn't. So when do you pay for that service? Well, you paid for it here between preliminary and final, which is when you knew then what final numbers are going to be. The only differential here is between the final estimate and numbers and the preliminary. And the preliminary was done for the budget. That's why we're suggesting adding contingency to help you with that tool for budget purposes when you don't have all the information in to get to final numbers. If you want to do it that way, if you're not going to pass a budget without numbers, without all of the information in, you're going to spend a lot more money up front. Sometimes you don't need to spend all that money up front, but if you want to be perfect on the information to have the best thing for the budget, then prepare to spend a lot more due diligence money up front. That's the choice. That's the Hobson's
I like the
choice.
contingency part because then if basically covers our ass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know how else to say it. The last thing I want is people coming to us going, well, we saw your budget went up again on this. And I'm like, you don't know the particulars, so stop. And that's half the problem when people don't come to the meetings. They only hear little bits from other people. But I was just concerned that I thought we were here on the budget and we're not. We're now here on the budget. And I just kind of wanted to know why.
No, that's fine.
Now
I know these are fair questions, and that's why
it makes sense.
I'm trying to do my best to explain it.
The
And
question I have is the last report that came back about that bridge, it was an inch too low. Is that what it was?
It wasn't, I don't believe it was the actual height of the bridge itself, the
Did I
structure. It was
misread
the-
it?
no, that
it
was
the way the
that
design
was the
structure-
water rise.
Correct, the way it would
So,
affect the water
wh-
rise.
So that was the water rise. So we were causing a 1-inch water rise on the flood because of the obstruction of that bridge. And they say that DNR requirement states that you have a 0 rise. So that means you cannot have that water rise at all with anything that you put in their floodway. And
But that's going to change 6 feet?
so we had to take the entire bridge out of the floodway. So that way we could not rise the flooding of that creek, because that flood elevation is, let's say, 592 or 692 or something along those lines. Okay. And so is what they don't want to have is have it go from 592 to 592.1, because now all of a sudden you could be impacting other businesses in that area, even though we already know that Pizza Hut goes underwater and all you see is the top of the roof. But it could be other businesses. That 1/10 of an inch could affect somebody else and it could cause loss of life. So they do not want to have any rise on that creek above and beyond.
Of course,
But-
the idea of cleaning up the obstruction, that doesn't come into play.
Right.
But you couldn't have called the DNR and said, hey, what's it going to require? And they're not going to answer it? Or is this, I guess I'm blowing sunshine up or something? I
They
know
don't
where-
answer till you submit final engineering plan.
But this,
And then
didn't
you
we
have to
do-
pay, they won't even answer our engineering until they get paid from the
And
city.
your premise is correct. That comes from a world of common sense where people should be able to communicate. It should be a partnership to work together to accomplish and go to get the right information up front to be able to try to meet. But we don't live or work in that world, unfortunately, Craig.
I mean, we can't be the only community that's having these issues.
They're
You
not.
We're not.
know, I'm just, this is,
You are not. Far from it. But their Springfield is not responsive to this.
And I feel the exact way you do, and Martin, that you do. Unfortunately, here daily, as I am, I've almost reached the point to where I'm numb with some of the bureaucracy and what it does to us.
well, I'm not.
Well, that's fine. I'm not saying you should be, but because it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything.
Don't we have a senator downstairs who can do something about it?
We
Or
reached out to them as part of this project.
These
We've
are
reached out to all of them.
the governor's agencies. These are parts of the executive branch.
I get it, but you said it's judgmental. So if you when you turn the final permit in or whatever, the design, somebody grabs it and says, okay, now I'm in charge of this. Could you resubmit it to somebody else? And it could be somebody else that says, that's good.
I think there's only one reviewer for the IDNR. The IDNR office has been stripped down to a point that they literally have, I think, 4 inspectors inspecting all the dams across the state of Illinois that they have to look at every year.
I'll give you a quick example, Craig. So IDNR, for one of my clients that has a shooting range, a clay trap shooting range, and they, back in the 70s and 80s, shot a lot of lead, and they now need to clean it up. So IEPA comes in and says, your site drains in such a way that it feeds a water of the U.S., the west branch of this river is a water of the U.S., therefore you have to achieve this level. So the client spends $2 million to clean it up to do that. IDNR comes out now and says, within 18 months of what IEPA said, that's not a water of the US, it's not navigable, and no people can put their kayaks on this branch of the river so that nobody can get off and get on to other people's property. So you have two state agencies looking at the exact same river, one calling it a river of the US, demanding $2 million from the local government, and the other one saying it's not. It's not a river of the US, and therefore nobody can put a kayak on it. Square that. That's what he's up against every day.
Well, he paid.
Sometimes.
But they're doing the honorable thing here. So typically, we used to have in both the engineers' joint contracts and in the AIA contracts, it used to be that if the engineer missed on their budget by more than 10%, they redesigned for free, right? That got tossed during Trump administration 1 because of the markets being somewhat chaotic. That's not in the latest revisions of all those contract documents. But to their credit, they're sort of honoring the spirit of that by redesigning here without additional charge.
And had you done all the engineering, it would have been the same price that you're asking, the difference.
Yeah.
Right, it's to, Georgetown's point, which is, oh, we got the budget. We have expectations, right, it's a disappointment in your expectations. The contingency tool will help.
Soften that when we run into unforeseens, is what we call it.
But you're not gonna run into more unforeseens, are you?
Of course you.
Always.
You could drill,
On record.
for soil conditions, you could drill every 5 inches and still come up with something you didn't expect.
Just frustrating.
Very.
But that's what makes it exciting, is doing design and always trying to problem solve. So,
Does every state do this, or, do other states have this much trouble with community or government agencies as the state of Illinois does?
I would say that my friends who do local government work in other states now, mind you, their structures constitutionally are a little different, but they are equally frustrated because it's more decentralized than Illinois. Yeah, we only have 4 inspectors running around, but we at least try to come up with regions, and so that there are people responsible, not for the whole state, but for this. In other states like Virginia, Pennsylvania, it's much more regional. So a better example that's more comprehensible is school districts. There's only 1 district per county. There's not one for Geneseo and another one. It's all of Henry County would be 1 school district. You think those school board members are responsive to parents in 1 elementary school and 1 school? No.
Yeah, I get you.
any other questions, gentlemen?
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Lauren.
you.
Okay, moving on. Item number 8 on the agenda would be public comments related to agenda items. City ordinance allows members of the public to speak and give input up to 3 minutes. During public comment, there can be no debate or action by the city council at this time. And it looks like you're at nothing. Okay, moving on the agenda, mayor's comments. The only thing I wanted to announce tonight was, we talk about it all, well, the chief was here, but Brandon, you can help too if you want. The effects of the current environment of law enforcement, and then complicated with the effects of recruiting law enforcement officers in the current environment in the state of Illinois. And it's become problematic for us. When we're testing, we're lucky to have 2 people there sometimes. And so knowing this, we talked a while back, and what we brainstormed and we came up, we've formed an ad hoc committee to kind of take a look at how we can set ourselves apart, city of Geneseo, to try to maybe increase our numbers of not only people that would be interested in applying here or working here, but to make sure we also retain those that we have. So they had their first meeting. Kent's on it. We have administrator from the state police, and Jamie Matthews is on it. Brandon, help me out. Bethany
Yeah,
Winkle-
Bethany Winkleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the goal there is for them to just kind of kick things around jointly, both from community members as well as members of the law enforcement community, come up with ideas, and we hope to bring something back to council so we can kind of look to strengthen our position as we try to hire and recruit people for the city. So
Mayor, do we still have Do we still have people that want a lateral in, or is that gone by the wayside also?
It just depends. Chief, if you want to speak to it, you can, but that's increasingly competitive too. And for a lot of the reasons of what this ad hoc committee is trying to, I guess,
Yeah, we're in
brainstorm.
we're in a time that I've never seen before. For me, it is, I would consider a hiring crisis. But yeah, we're competing with so many other people that are all after the same pool of candidates. So you'll have some astronomical sign-on bonuses. There's just some crazy stuff going on. So yeah, everybody's trying to get good people, and we're all reaching to the very limited amount that's out there. Yeah, it's harder and harder every time. And now we're doing something. Now we're testing every couple of months. So just trying to get an active list. And you know, like with Sean and Mike and I went through it, there was 40, 50,
I had
60 people doing it. Now there's
60
like
plus, yeah.
5 if we're lucky, and then 2 make it through.
So I just wanted to mention the committee format in case any of the council people heard about it, or if Kent, was conversing with you guys. I didn't want you to feel like you didn't know what the intent of this was.
We could bring back the retirees.
No, they won't.
Apparently not.
They won't come back. No, they'll be working for $1. The laterals, this is a statewide problem as well. So my clients across the state are in the same predicament. The good news is you have sort of a proactive management structure here that's facing it. That helps. But to your question about laterals, they're not always the answer. There's a reason that these free agents may be free agents. So.
I understand that too.
Okay, moving on, city council comments. Any members of the council? Okay, Brandon, city administrator comments?
Yep, just a few things. Last week was Municipal Clerks Appreciation Week. We just want to thank Paige and Jessica Damewood, who serves as the deputy city clerk, for all they do. There was a nice post we had on Facebook recognizing them, but as Jenna said tonight, they really do drive a lot of what we see behind the scenes. And yeah, right now, dealing with liquor licensing and special liquor licensing for Wine Walk and all kinds of fun stuff. So just want to say we really appreciate having them here and doing what they're doing. No clap. No. I didn't set it up very well. Paige's speech? No. Yeah.
Okay.
Two more.
Sorry.
Did want to just mention, the mayor may have a couple of comments too. We told the council 6-8 months ago that, this would be the summer where we talk about passenger rail. The city owns a lot for passenger rail projects, been talked about since the late 90s in the state of Illinois. We have had meetings with IDOT and been given updates that, this project is fully funded. Geneseo is slotted as a stop on this passenger rail. So kind of where we're at right now is we've reached out and asked IDOT to come here and present to the city council. Kind of, now is probably the time where they need to come in front of the council, and it's not just us kind of passing along these side conversations on funding structures, tentative timetables, things that are going on with the MOLE coordination train coming from Wynette. And, really to get to the point, because at some point, if this is happening, there's going to have to be conversation about what that actually means with Geneseo building a depot and taking on a depot for forever for the maintenance of it. So we have asked them to come. I haven't got a firm date yet back, but we're trying to shoot for maybe the cow in June to have them here and actually hear it from them on where they're at with coordination with the railroad and everything.
Does IDOT set up parameters on to what kind of a station we must have size wise?
Yep.
And
Yes.
It's appearing very expensive.
Yeah. There was design done many years ago that we have prints on. I think, that's one of the questions, Martin, that'll come up is some of that was done over a decade ago or so now too. So, what the review of all of that and what does it mean for Geneseo?
So when do they make a final decision?
Yeah.
This has gone since the
That's why we want
90s.
them here. 'Cause-
Okay, but are they going to give us one?
Well, I mean, the way, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, but the last tentative time frame we were given was they would like to revisit IGAs with us by the end of the year.
Yeah.
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 So but yeah, though, so that being said, it's important that the council hears everything from these folks. Because I mean, the financial commitment to the station alone is significant, and that would be a capital project to us that we would ultimately get reimbursed for. So, I mean, we're talking a lot, and I'm not trying to dissuade anybody. What I'm saying is I want to make sure that as we work through this discussion and as we process the information we're given, that we don't take just a pie in the sky approach that this is amazing and we should have this, because it's going to be it. That type of financial commitment to the project will change a lot of things we do that we had in our capital plan
Oh, yeah.
for a while. And it's a long-term commitment, because once it's built, it's ours to maintain. And there's just a lot of things that the more you think about it, you got to think about.
So I was told that it was the middle of the summer, they'd have a decision where the financing ran out or something like that. If they're going to extend it, are we continuing to have it extended, or can we make a decision either we do or we don't want to have it?
Well, and I think that's the timeline we're looking to have here locally, is get those folks before you so you guys can hear everything for yourself. Take some time, and then Brandon and we've kicked around. I think we should revisit some type of local survey. Now, we're not exactly sure how we do that, but get some citizen input back on this too, not just as simple as, would you want a train station? But I think we need to know how many people are going to utilize this type thing and that type of thing. Because I mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, because if you ask me, do I want something? Sure, I want it. Well, do you want it under these circumstances? That type of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm just
There
saying,
needs to
when
be
they come, are
context
they
to the
bringing a
question.
feasibility study to say, this is what it's gonna bring? I mean, they should have some kind of,
Bring to us.
yeah, they should have something, well, this is gonna increase
Yeah.
economic development this much in your town.
I don't.
Because I know there's other stations that it's running through now
So.
that I don't see any development.
So the other piece that we've asked for kind of in the same night as a rail night is, so Bi-State, we're a member of Bi-State. Bi-State has been in the planning and the study of bringing a depot to this area since the late 90s. Denise is still the director at Bi-State. She was there in the late 90s when the planning started. We've asked her to, and she's willing to do it that same night, to kind of come and give the history of how we got here and how Geneseo got into the conversation as well, to just provide as much context and history lesson as possible. Because, when we talk to them, it's a lot of us weren't here, haven't been part of this conversation at all, other than getting some updates that this piece is moving or we're waiting for funding here. And so we would like to hear kind of that whole presentation. We think it'd be valuable for it to be in front of council and the public.
And preliminary and final could be two separate things on that too.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. So, but it'll be exciting conversation for the summer months.
Yeah.
But we are gonna make a decision this year on what we're doing with it?
Well, I think
Or is this, we're pushing it
I-
off another year?
to me, I think once we have an update from them, I think if we look to some type of community outreach and figure out what the pulse of the community is currently, I think it would be a good time by the end of the year or early into next year to make some type of decision. I think would be fair. And I think those involved in the project would equally like to know if Geneseo would like to stay on board. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess to answer your
Yeah.
question, Craig, I think we're getting to the point to where it's incumbent on us to decide, what path we want to take. So,
And is this high speed or not high speed?
well, I can't say with any certainty. Brandon and I, at one meeting, were told that part of the thing that got it across the finish line was a reduction of the speed would lessen the amount of track improvements that need to be made. But then there's also been other references made recently that some are under the belief that it's still high speed. So I can't answer that with certainty, Greg.
I'm fine. I would just at some point in time decide either we're doing this or we're not doing this. We're wasting 30 years of
Yeah.
development that we could sell that property and develop it
Well,
and bring in revenue to the city. We're not bringing in crap right now, if you don't
yeah,
mind.
and that's definitely one part of the spoke in the wheel. But more importantly is we need to decide if we're doing this, because it's going to have to change our capital plan 100% beginning in year 27 and going forward. Right,
And-
man? I mean, that's the most important part is the
And even if they
financial-
decided to do it in the summer, let's say they pass it and they want, when do we see a train through?
Yeah,
Those are the big
those are all
questions.
questions that you can field the folks that
Yeah.
should have that information.
I welcome them.
Anything else, Brandon? I don't want to cut you off again.
No,
That'll
just,
be a 3-hour meeting, Paula, so.
we had a lot of pedestrian bridge discussion already, but we do plan to talk about it some more at the May 26th meeting and what costs may look like and what kind of support we can get from grants and additional. So we'll review that again coming up.
I'm just curious, have there been a lot of people calling the city asking about the pedestrian bridge?
Not that I'm aware of.
So the need is not as bad as it was.
When we talk about it with people, I mean, I still get a lot of feedback that people think it is a good idea for the safety and the crossing of that area. When back to the original discussion of when we do it or not, there is no safe pedestrian crossing, across that waterway right there. It is dangerous. So I think that, at the end of the day, that's why we've been on this journey.
We're just in a bad spot because there's not a safe option otherwise. And we know that as administrators of this community. So that makes it tough.
I know, but then you have to, once again, we have to go back to the cost. If it's increasing, then we have to determine whether it's viable to.
I understand, but then others would argue that if in the event of a tragedy, what was the cost? You know what I'm saying? That's what we deal with all the time, unfortunately. So.
And how long has it been like, it's always been this way, right? They've had no other, I mean, I know this bridge was repaved, but it's never been widened or any of that other stuff, or it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, when that bridge was in, correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, I don't even think Richmond Hill addition was there then, or if it was just recently put in. I mean, there was no strip mall. There was no development to the south.
You're correct.
A lot of the houses were there, strip mall.
Yeah, that strip mall wasn't.
But I don't believe the Richmond Hill.
And actually, I think from what I gathered was the last time that bridge was repaired, we had to be careful on our repairs that we had to do because otherwise nobody liked where that bridge was placed, how it was placed, the elevation it was placed. So
It's all wrong.
it's all wrong.
I'm sure it is.
And it needs basically to be redesigned, and that's going to cost probably millions. So that's why when we repaired it the last time, we were very careful on how we repaired it, so that way we didn't make it so that way it needed to be fully removed and replaced type thing, which then would cause huge changes in the design.
No, I agree. I get it.
So,
Thanks.
Anything else, Brandon?
Nope.
Okay, moving on right along. Item number 12 will be the finance director's comments. 12.1 will be the treasurer's report and capital assets report as submitted.
Okay, so unfortunately, Jamie and Chad are having some medical situations they're dealing with tonight, but we'll go ahead and start with the project updates and then go into any questions on Jamie's standard reports. If we want to open up the significant project updates, we'll let Eric start with updates on capital.
That might be on.
I can stand up here.
Sounds good.
It's going to be really long. I don't have very many updates. The industrial park loop has been completed. That is energized. That is the loop that it goes along Weber Drive there. Everything else is still in the works. Culver Court, the guys will get to that later this week, early next week. They're currently over on Spring Street doing a small underground project that will bring power to the lots here on First Street. Other than that, that is all I have. Any questions?
Okay, and bear with me as I go through Public Works here. North Water Tower, everybody has probably seen that the work has started there. They're attaching the containment structure to begin the blasting of the tower and some repairs, and then we'll see the new paint job start. That project is scheduled to go through, I believe right now, about the first week of June with some of the rain days, all weather dependent on the completion there. Feel free to jump in if I state anything wrong, Lauren, that you're aware of. Then we move down to well 33, as Lauren already talked through. Having some issues there with EPA approving what we have submitted, but Chad has informed me that Dalton is actively working with IMEG to get them what they want, to hopefully bless that well and get it pumping. Wastewater, the jet truck, I believe is going to be here. They're picking it up tomorrow, or it's being delivered tomorrow. Thanks, Eric. So that will be complete this week. And then we jump down to the Parks Department. The riding lawnmowers that were budgeted for this year have been delivered. Street Department, the patchwork on Chicago Street. Again, going back to the rail discussion that we just had, we did budget for some PCC repair around the railroad tracks on Chicago for this year. From some of the conversations that we've had and Chad's had, with being told that rail is coming, whether it stops in Geneseo or not, there are going to be upgrades done to some of the track crossings. And so to do a full, a large concrete repair job around the tracks right now, we've been advised may not be the best move because it may be torn out in the coming years when they're redoing track. So Chad is actively looking at getting a price right now just to at least get the abutments that are close fixed with the HMA and get them smoothed out, because it is a very bumpy route once you get
It's just
close to
it's
those
just
tracks.
crumbling.
So
Basically, they'd be put back similar to what they are.
Yeah. So that's actively being looked at. So there may be some savings there on the budgetary side from what was budgeted there. North State Street Phase 2, as Lauren gave the update, is overall going well with Laud from the updates that we get. We did have the intersection at the high school, Ogden and State, open back up. They got through that as quickly as they could. Chicago Street sidewalk, I think we've talked about that one enough. That'll be on the agenda tonight for consideration approval as well. And then annual street overlay, the 2024 fixes, that will be coming up the second week of June. And,
Shorter than Eric's. The only update.
Casey?
Oh, sorry.
Lauren?
Please do.
Back on the HMA, I believe we had a milling contract and that was awarded to Valley.
Yep.
And so milling will start probably toward the end of May. So that way it'll be prepped for Henry County to do the overlay back in the beginning part of June.
And just so everybody knows, you guys are on board to do the material sampling and testing, correct? So we'll have a better oversight, I guess, would be the right way to say it this time.
So it'll be right this time? Is that what you're saying?
That would be our goal.
Hopes.
That's our goal.
The only update I got is for the range. We're Interstate Fence is going to be redoing that south side, and then there's a heating, air conditioning, cooling unit that was installed. So that's all I got for any updates.
Was the range in use over the weekend?
It is. I know it's scheduled for Monday over the weekend.
No, I'm talking about last weekend. I could have sworn I heard a lot of shooting. And I didn't know if the range was open, I guess.
No, not on a Saturday or Sunday.
Then somebody's missing a lot of turkey. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Admin items, City Hall landscaping. You see the project when you walk in. The update out front is underway with Corn Crib. They're supposed to be back mid to late this week. Concrete as foundation is curing there right now for the water feature out front. Richmond Hill Park stage, we do have a ribbon cutting set for June 3rd at 6 p.m. and it'll also be a regional Girl Scout troop will be out there to award Hannah McGee the Gold Award for her contributions to that project with us and coordinating with us on it. So that'd be nice. Hope some of you guys can come out for that. That'll be at 6 p.m. And then we had the pedestrian bridge discussion already, and we will have it again on May 26th. That's it. Any of the treasurer's budget book, any questions that we want to try to tackle, the department heads can for you guys, if you have any concerns.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report and capital asset reports as submitted.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Swanson. Roll call.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Samowski.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 13 on the agenda would be the consent agenda.
13.1 approval of previous city council minutes, public hearing, April 14th, 2026 minutes, regular council, April 14th, 2026 minutes, committee of the whole, April 28th, 2026 minutes, special city council, April 28th, 2026 minutes. 13.2 facade improvement grant application for Vorak Pharmacy. 13.3 O-26-09, an ordinance amending regulations governing interconnection and net metering programs for renewable energy, and 13.4 omnibus method.
Motion to approve using the omnibus method and to approve items 13.1 through 13.4.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Rothschild. Roll call.
Arnold.
Yes.
Samowski.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. No unfinished business. Item number 15, under administration, 15.1 would be the mayor's appointment to the vacant Ward number 2 council seat. At this time, I would like to introduce Michael Chavez. He's seated right there in the gallery at the moment. I'm bringing forward Mike because I had the pleasure of working with him for a long time as a police officer in the city of Geneseo. I know his dedication to the community. I know his passion for the community. He's excellent values. I just feel like he's going to complement the council well. And I know his heart is here with already a career of service to the community. I know he'll continue that over. And he was excited at the opportunity to continue to serve his community, which is a good thing.
I make a motion to appoint Michael Chavez to serve a 2-year term as Ward 2 Alderman.
Second.
Motion by James, second by Arnold. Well, that's backwards. That's rare. Roll call.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Samowski.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Congratulations, Mike. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, hey, you want to come up and do the swearing in?
After I saw all the prizes.
He's staying around for the plaque now.
Okay, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Michael Chavez, have been appointed as alderman in the city of Geneseo and the county of Henry aforesaid.
I, Michael Chavez, having been appointed as alderman of the city of Geneseo and the county of Henry aforesaid,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution and states of laws of the state of Illinois,
the charters, laws, and ordinances of the city of Geneseo,
the charters, laws, ordinances of the city of Geneseo,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my position to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my position to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Enjoy.
Feel free to join us, Mike. We'll get all that. Okay, 15.2 under administration would be R-26-10. That would be the staff appointments.
Yeah, so these are staff appointments. The term of Casey, myself, Jamie, and Paige follow the term of the mayor. So you have to decide if you want to appoint us or not.
Motion to approve R-26-10.
Motion by Arnold. Second by Rothschild. Roll call.
Arnold.
Yes.
Samowski.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. 15.3 under administration would be O-26-10, the 2026 zoning map update. Good evening, Rick.
Yeah. Hello.
Do you want to make that? Thank you.
So each year we update our zoning map if there's been any changes. Obviously, all the changes have been finalized through you guys, so, but the map, the first one we updated was the middle lot over here on First Street where today's builders, we sold them the 2 outside lots. They were able to purchase the inside lot and requested a change to where the zoning's all the same for all 3 of them, so that they can get started on their project there. The second one change here is the annexation of JF Edwards Construction Company and their 2 parcels over there on Chicago Street and Ford Road. And then when those get annexed in, they're annexed in as R1 residential automatically for our ordinance. And we have changed them over to business 4 to match like Edwards Ready Mix in the area, industrial. And then just we have our internet, our interactive zoning map that's on our website. Just a quick update on that. While we had them do the changes up on the upper right-hand corner, those little maple leaves, the one turns on the zoning, the second one used to turn on. We had each parcel like vacant lots that were for sale and then business lots that were for sale. And it was just too hard to keep up with the changing of them and keeping it changed. So we took that overlay off, and the middle one is now, if you click on that, you can turn on the TIF districts. And so the TIF districts will show up on our interactive map by color. So if somebody's, looking to move a business into town, they're looking for TIF districts or whatever, see if the parcel they're looking at is in a TIF district, they can turn that on, and the different TIF districts are highlighted there. If you open up one of those parcels that's in a TIF district, maybe it's acting really different from. So see where it says more information on the tax information, that'll get you the Henry County tax page. The zoning ordinance will take you to our section of the zoning ordinance for, that particular parcel will be B2 for business. And then it'll be also the highway corridor overlay district is the regulations for that in our zoning ordinance. So you can open up each one of those sections and it'll take you right to our ordinance. So just a cool feature that we got. We just kind of changed that one parcel where we added the TIF districts on this one. Any questions? Thank you.
Motion to approve, what are we doing? Oh, motion to approve 02610.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Swanson. Roll call.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Samowski.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. 15.4 would be the Chicago Street Sidewalk Project.
So we've had a pretty extensive conversation on Chicago Street sidewalk already, but to recap some of the other points here, we did have the bid opening as Lauren described. Centennial Contractors was the lowest qualified bidder at $184,304 for the completion of this project. As we discussed, this is over budget because of the changes in the ADA compliance needs that we do need to meet. So we project right now it'd be about $42,000, $394, $42,394 over budget with all of the current math that we're doing. I will add, again, to the point of when we're talking about budget, that we did budget significant funds to PCC repair around the railroad tracks. We do not plan on doing that. So overall, we should be square between the two projects.
There shouldn't be a negative impact to the overall budget is the important thing.
Motion to approve the $184,304 bid from Centennial Contractors of the Quad Cities for the completion of the Chicago Street Sidewalk Project and additional spending of $42,394 above budgeted 2026 funding for the project.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
Second by Rothschild. Roll call.
Arnold,
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. 15.5 under administration will be R-26-12, the temporary construction easement for IDOT.
So this is another one from IDOT. We approved these temporary easements in last month's meeting that were surrounding the state routes that border our city park. This is another one that IDOT did not have in that original packet. We're receiving this because it is on Oakwood. This is our property that is the Oakwood Cemetery entrance that abuts the ADA sidewalk upgrades that IDOT is going to be making along their routes, and they need temporary easement access to complete that.
Motion to approve R-2612.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by James. Roll call.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. 15.6 under administration will be resolution R-26-13, the revolving loan fund for DeSplinter Electric for $50,000.
Yeah, hopefully that opens on yours, Eric. It's not opening on mine. Okay, there's an issue with that link. So this is a application from the Splinter Electric for $50,000. They, I'm sure you've all driven by on Hanford Street where the tornado came through the Splinter Electric. It's a red building that they put up. They completed that. That's a $600,000 building. They partnered with Henry County's RLF and some other partners to get that one completed. Really is a very nice building that they put up for their business. They are employing 3 full-time and 1 part-time employee there. They've approached the city with their lending institution, who is Bank of Orion, because they're at the point where they want to complete a parking lot around the building and have pavement to some of the front bays as well. So they've asked the city for a $50,000 revolving loan. Bank of Orion has committed to loan them $50,000 as well. That's been approved. The city, as a reminder, we do have a revolving loan committee that's made up of individuals from Central Bank, Farmers Bank, Jamie, our treasurer, and myself. They review a lot of confidential documents that are requested for these projects, tax returns and things of that nature. They have recommended that the council does move forward with this project, that it is a suitable project for our revolving loan fund.
Let's see. Motion to approve resolution R-2613.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Chavez. Roll call.
Arnold,
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Brandon, no 15.7, correct?
Yeah, May 26th, we should be
We're waiting for a return back yet. from
waiting for
others.
attorneys to do some things still.
Okay. Okay, moving on the agenda, item number 16. 16.1 would be the approval and payment of city bills.
How much?
Look at everybody looks at the sewer cleaner mounted.
Yeah.
529,000.
Jet truck.
So it's a truck. Yeah.
Jet truck,
What is that?
the jet truck sanitary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not the big.
It's the new jet truck that's being delivered tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, that would have been on the cap, on this thing, but I didn't see it. Probably not.
Because I believe that invoice came today and the capital asset was updated last Friday.
Because I looked for it. Wasn't there.
But then usually they don't get updated until after it's passed.
Motion to approve the city bills as presented.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Samosky. Roll call?
Rothschild,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 17 would be public comments related to all their items. And you're shaking your head, I still got to read it. City ordinance allows members of the public to speak and give input up to 3 minutes. During public comment, there could be no debate or action by the city council at this time. You guys got nothing, chief? Nobody in the lobby? Okay. Item number 18 would be a move into executive session for 5 ILCS 120/2C11, 5 ILCS 120/2C21.
Motion to move into executive session per 5 ILCS 122C11 and 5 ILCS 122C21.
Motion by Arnold, second by Samosky. Roll call?
Arnold,
Yes.
Samowski,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Chavez,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Rothschild.
Yes.
Okay. And there'll be no after action.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm okay. We're going to stay here. Yeah. Yeah.